welcome to another episode of Life is an Art podcast with me, Maggie. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic that's very dear to my heart, and this is a topic about self sabotage. Self sabotaging, the why, the how how to overcome it, everything that can help us become the best versions of ourselves. And if it means stop self sabotaging, then it is. We're going to talk about it. So, yeah, I cannot wait to dive into the topic. I hope you'll join me till the end and learn something and share with someone who think that this episode will be of much help. And today's affirmation will be I am valuable and I'm important. I am valuable and I am important. You can repeat it again. I am valuable and I am important. Yes. We've all heard of self sabotage. We've had it and we've done it and we're very familiar with it. And even if you don't know what self sabotage is, I'm sure as you get to listen to the episode, you'll have a moment of, mm-hmm, I have definitely done that. And I definitely want not to do that to myself again. So, what does that mean? Self sabotage is just having these feelings of self defeating and persistently standing in your own way, in your true self, in your own goals, just standing in your own way. Like the moment you're about to achieve something, you just talk yourself out of it. The moment you're about to do something, you just talk yourself out of it. You just your own downer, you're just your own hater, you're just standing in your own way. And that is exactly what self-sabotage is. Have you ever done that to yourself? Do you find yourself doing that to yourself? I know it's very important to ask yourself these questions, and it's very important to identify and to acknowledge that I indeed have some self-sabotaging behavior that make me stand in my own way. Like, do you find yourself talking yourself out of something that was really gonna be big in your life because you're like, you know, even if I apply for that job, I'll just end up not getting it. I'll just end up just not messing it up, if I go there, I'll just end up not being that self-sabotaging and it happens in your relationship, in your life, in your work life, in your social life. And if it does happen to you and you find yourself having these moments of self-sabotage, this we're going to learn about some tips that I've researched and have been proven scientifically to assist you in the journey of getting out of that very negative space, So we're going to start with the the ways you can identify yourself sabotaging, okay? Yeah. Some of the examples I'm going to give, they're going to be a bit many, but bear with me. Let's see whether you can identify one or two, three things that you do that really are characters and are ways that you really self-sabotage yourself, one of the things that we're going to start is like if you're passing up an opportunity because you don't feel qualified enough, if you're ignoring your intuition, if you're allowing your perfectionism to hold you back from achieving your goals, you're downplaying your needs, you're numbing your emotions and using addiction. Addiction in this case might be even social media addiction, even just being lazy can sometimes be an addiction, even just drugs and all those things that involve with drugs can be an addiction. Even exercising too much can be an addiction. So when you're or binge eating or binge watching, those are some of the addiction. Avoiding good relationship because of anxiety, binging, purging, restricting, or over exercising, those are some of the ways you definitely do self-sabotage. Procrastinating, people pleasing, dwelling too much on your mistakes, breaking your promises to yourself, refusing to seek help, you're intensely fearful and full of criticism, You don't set boundaries with others or with yourself. You do not communicate your expectation. You have a lot of fear for hard work, and you dwell so much on your mistake, and you prioritize what is comfortable rather than what is healthy. You're always ready to argue even on things that really don't matter. Those are some of the things that some of the characteristics of someone who's really really self-sabotaging. And if you've had something that you do that, here are some of the ways, sorry, that we're gonna dive in, that are gonna help you become a better version of yourself and limit your self-sabotaging behaviors, because this is a very very toxic element that we have, that we do to ourselves, and it's not healthy at all. So there's a plan called we're gonna call it an anti self-sabotaging plan. Like, how do you get a plan that can enable you not to self-sabotage as much, all the things that we've talked about. So there's a plan, and then we're going to talk about how to not self-sabotage. So we're going to start with a plan. One of the things that's very simple, when someone, like, let me just give you an example. When someone approaches you and say, God, you look so beautiful, God, you look so handsome, what's the first thing? Oh, I like that dress. Instead of saying thank you normally go into like, oh no, it's the hair, you always just downplay that compliment. You really don't accept it. That's a method of self-sabotaging. Did you know that? Yeah. So you're gonna start accepting compliments, start asking for help when you need it, start allowing people to get close, start allowing yourself to say no to things that don't add value to your life or are gonna compromise your life or the way you live your life. Start prioritizing your own needs and start encouraging yourself with positive thoughts, positive affirmations, and yeah, start the important projects that you want to do. And that's a plan. That's like a plan that we can start with. But now, how do you stop self-sabotaging? How do you really stop this thing that's holding you back? How do you stop yourself from standing in your own way? How do you do that? Get to know yourself. What do I value? Who am I? Why am I acting against my own values? Identify what you're doing that's not serving you. What are these unhealthy habits and behavior do I need to take responsibility for? That is one thing. Get to know yourself. Get to know yourself. Get to know yourself, just not the positive, I'm good, I'm this, I'm that. It's even the negative traits of you. Get to know them. Get to see and analyze them. Even better, write them down. Write things that you love about yourself, that you don't like about yourself. These positives and negatives are the ones that makes you who you are. And when you identify those negative behaviors that you have of yourself, you cannot start working on one by one. I binge watch a lot. I exercise a lot. I am a very chronic procrastinator. Then how can I work on that? There are materials out there, there are therapists out there, there are counselors out there, and there are materials in myself as a podcast that we have researched and we have also applied them to ourselves, and we see that they work. So there are resources out there to help you to know yourself better. Take a day to just know yourself, to just know who you are. Like, honestly, you're with yourself 24/7. You can just take an hour or a day to take yourself out for a walk. No music, no Instagram, no all those things. Just to take yourself and just no even podcasts, to be honest, and just ask yourself, who am I? Why am I like this? Why do I do things like this? And then you can be able to identify those very bad behavior, those toxic traits that you have that is affecting you and people around you. You know, learn your triggers. Learn your triggers. Acknowledge when you feel upset, when you feel overwhelmed. Write down your thoughts and feelings to determine what's the underlying cause of your feelings. Okay? So we start with get to know yourself. Learn your triggers. Learn what triggers you to just go back to that account of self-sabotaging. You know? Then two or three, yes, three. So we started with get to know yourself, learn your triggers. Then three, learn your core beliefs. Negative core beliefs are developed in our childhoods, and the main driving force behind sabotaging behavior. There's some of the things that you were told as a young child, there's some of the things that you went through, some level of abuse. This case doesn't have to be really physical, even emotional, how your parents talk to you, how if you had a bully in high school or if you are the bully, the things that you have engraved in your mind that are very, very negative, that makes you believe that you're not good enough, you don't deserve the things that are coming to you, you end up destroying anything you put your hands on. These are some of the thoughts that are engraved in our mind that we can once we know that they are there, then we can work on them. An example is of I am deserving, I am not enough, I'm afraid I'm afraid, just basically I'm afraid, and also I am fearful of change. These are some of the things that especially change. I can tell you for free, I don't do good with change. No matter how positive it is, I find myself self-sabotaging because I'm like, you know what, I just can't deal with this is so much change for me, and I'm like, I don't like this, I really don't like it, and I can't do this, and that's one way of standing in your own way, because change in itself can be a very good thing. But why do you see it as this negative thing? Why are you standing in your own way? And the fourth one, which is the next, because these things just go in a circular motion. Get to know yourself, learn your triggers, learn your core beliefs. If you have to change some of your core beliefs, religion, spiritual, all those that are really resulting you to self-sabotaging, then you need to do that. And another thing is set goals to change your behavior. Now that you've known yourself, you've learned your triggers, you've learned your core behaviors, let's now set goals to change behaviors. So one thing you just need to have is develop self-compassion. I've talked about this in previous episodes. You need to start being compassionate with yourself, and learning that things that happened to you as a child were not your fault, that things were meant to happen the way they did to make you the person that you are. Learn to you see how you have compassion on someone who's needy or someone who's poor. Just have that for yourself. Avoid beating yourself down so much. Sometimes just have that compassion. Then keep the goals simple and dedicate some time every single day to work on them, just like we talked about when developing habits. Make the goals as simple as possible, as achievable as possible, so that you can be able to achieve them, so that it doesn't look so big. Then you start self procrastinating, then you start like putting it aside, then you end up not even doing it, and your excuse was like, this thing was, I cannot do it. And it's just because it was just this huge thing. You can simplify it, break it down into pieces, and you can be able to make it easier for you to achieve goals that ideally you may procrastinate or put them down, or just talk yourself out of doing them even in the first place. Another thing is practice mindfulness to train yourself to not act on negative thoughts. Feel, just like we said on self-confidence episode, you need to fill your mind with as many positive affirmations, positive realistic affirmations of to your mind, so that it may even out the scale. Because if you have so much negativity that has been installed with the world, by you, by people around you, when you feel it, when you don't have anything to balance it off, the negative will always outweigh the positive. So if in every morning you take some time to yourself and you tell yourself very amazing things about yourself, very positive things about yourself, like today's affirmation of like I am valuable, I am worthy, I am loved, I am loved, I am amazing, I can achieve anything I put my mind to, I am a go-getter, I am self-confident, I am self-worthy, and I deserve the good things in life. All those good and positive thoughts, when you engrave them in your mind, just the way the negative thoughts come in when you feel it, when something hard presents itself, it's the same ease that a positive thought will come and you feel like I can do it, I can achieve anything I put my mind to. And that's way we can really say, and through those things we can really say that, what, I am not self-sabotaging anymore, I am better than this, I can achieve it, and I'm not gonna stand in my own way any longer. So listen to this episode anytime you feel like you're going down those traits and doing those behaviors, and it may help you center yourself to being the best version of yourself. So, yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today in this podcast, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you can share this podcast with someone you feel like they would value this knowledge and they would really benefit from this. And yeah, and thank you for listening to my previous episodes, and thank you for also subscribing. Continue listening to me in all the platforms, and I'll continue giving you this amazing knowledge and this amazing research, because this is a self-help podcast, and it's all about discovering the best versions of ourselves and putting it out there to the world, and constantly working on ourselves, because we're a beautiful masterpiece and we deserve the best, you know? Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you on my next episode. Bye.